Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Houston, Texas. It's time for Houston Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hello, Houston. Trisha Stetzel here, bringing you another episode of Houston Business Radio. I'm really excited about this guest coming by way of an introduction from Uganda Simpson. Thank you, Uganda, for the amazing introduction to Christa Rollock. She's the owner of C Rollock Photography. Christa, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
So excited to have you on today. Okay, let's start with, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you've ventured into this space of photography.
So my name is Christa Rollock, as you said. I am someone who was born in Germany. I moved to the United States because I met my husband, and he was in the military at the time, in the Army. And so we moved to Milwaukee. We moved all over the place because he was an Army recruiter, and I was always there supporting him all the time, raising the children, being there for him. And so my professional life took always a little bit of step back, right? And so finally, at one point, I started in the insurance business, life and health, for a long time, and enjoyed it because I am a people person and I like to help people. I like to be with people. So I enjoyed it. But there came a time in my life, especially that was when COVID hit. I found that because I was always a very creative person all my life. So I always did photography from a young age on, starting with push camera, like the cameras that you just push together to get a picture, or the ones that just printed something out. It was from very young on I did that, and I loved it. And I also loved drawing, painting. But all of this, it just never really came out during all these years following my husband around. And then when that COVID hit, all of this came back to me. It was like an eye opener. And I said, what is happening with all my creativity that I have? And so I took a deep look at what I was doing, right? I think a lot of people did it back then, to take that deep look into their lives. And I went back to college. So I went back to college, to Houston Community College, and started with graphic design, Lightroom, Photoshop, and photography. And I learned everything about lighting, how to light a human face, how to pose them, what light actually can do to a face, when you really, really, how it can shape somebody, how the eyes can pop. And I fell so hard for portrait photography. And I said, this is it. This is absolutely it. And from that moment on, there was no holding me back. And I started my business.
That's beautiful. So for those of you who aren't watching the video, you need to go to the YouTube channel and see how amazing Christa's light is on her right now, because it's beautiful. You definitely have a knack for that. And by the way, I am old enough to remember Polaroids and flash bulbs. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What a journey. Thank you. First off, I want to say thank you for doing the hard duty of being a military spouse. It's not an easy thing to do, and moving all of the time and starting over all of the time can be very taxing. So I'm so glad that you've settled in and found the love that you have for photography. I want to talk about your motto, because I love it. I mentioned it to you before we started recording this morning. So can you share what your motto is?
So my motto is, every face has a story to tell. Let me help you tell yours. Because I am focusing on faces. This was always my passion. I went on my mother's nerves and my whole family's nerves back then, because I always did these close-ups, right? Because faces, they tell a story. They really do. the older we get, actually, the more powerful a face becomes, because every wrinkle that we might have, every gray hair we might have, the expression, that we have. I think that our life experiences can show in a face, and it to me, it always shows up great, no matter what somebody's life experiences were, but they made us who we are. And I want to show that, because I think every face is so beautiful. And we live in a time where people think, oh my God, I am not the beauty standard. I am not looking like what I see out there, right? And I want to tell people that's not what it's about. It's about you. You are special, and your image is special. And so that is the reason why this is my motto.
Mhm. I love that. That's so beautiful, Krista. I love your story. I love your passion for the business that you're in and what you bring to faces. And it can sometimes be challenging or even rewarding. So, what are some of the unique challenges and rewards of capturing different personalities on camera?
So I think the biggest challenge is when you photograph someone who had, for instance, a headshot done before, and it was a 3-minute thing in an event, where there was no time to really spend with that person, to find out, who are you, well, how is your smile really working for you, right? And does it reach your eyes, and so a lot of people come with that notion already. Oh my God, I look so terrible in front of the camera, and my image will look so terrible. So this is a big challenge to overcome. But I feel that because the way I work with people, just, really chilling, listening to music, talking, laughing, and just getting people involved in the photo shoot itself, it makes people realize, hey, it's actually great to do something like this. It's kind of a treat. So this is the biggest challenge, I think, that to overcome the preconceived, the way how people see themselves.
Yeah. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I look, all the things, right? Yeah, we hear it all the time. Um, Can we talk just a little bit about just the production? So, who do you work with and how do you work with them?
So I call myself a headshot photographer because I do so many headshots, right? I um I love showing business people the strength that they have, the tenacity that shows up in their face, the spunk that they have. I really love that because of the fact that I have been self-employed for so many years. And I think that we need to show, who we are as business people, um, and what we represent. And so that is something that I really like to do. Portraits is just all for me. Portraits is it's my passion. It's that is what I do. So
Okay.
I always say this, as a photographer, yes, we can shoot a lot of different things. We can shoot. Yeah, but where's your passion? Where's your niche? Where is it where you absolutely feel excitement? And for me, the excitement is a face.
Yeah. I can see that. You light up when you talk about what you do. You have such a passion for it. So, Krista, are you in studio? Do you come to your clients? How does that work?
So I work in my studio where people can come and have that extended session, where they really get, you know, where they can relax more. And I also go to businesses where I spend time with people there, and because not every business owner can send their employees to me, so I go to them, I have my equipment, and I take the lighting with me and have fun there and just get to know the people that are working there, and have fun with them, and create that headshot for them there.
Okay, fantastic. Tell me location wise, how far do you go and where is your studio?
So my studio is in Richmond, and but because I have all my equipment, I can travel. I travel basically anywhere, in Houston, Galveston. I mean, um, Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter, because of the fact that unless it is, out of state, that is something I don't do. I don't travel out of state.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So, if someone's already interested in meeting you and finding out more, what's the best way to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is by giving me a call or emailing me. But the best thing is just get in touch with me. Shoot me a text, and I call you back or call me. So that way we can find out more about what it is that you need, because that's very important to have that conversation beforehand. What is your expectation? What do you want out of this photo shoot? What do you want to show? What do you want to present? And so that way, it makes it already easier to understand a little bit more about you before you even come to me.
Oh, that's lovely. So I'll put all of Krista's contact information in the show notes. If you're listening or watching, you can just click on the link and get in touch with Krista if you're interested in having a conversation. So you do a lot of headshots.
Yeah.
And I know AI may be a dirty word, but what really sets the professional images that you're putting together apart from someone using a cell phone or even creating an AI image online?
So let's just talk about AI first. Yes, there is a lot of these programs out there where you can, you post so many images and then they put it all together into one. Who is there to coach you about how to lean in, how to, about your smile, about is your smile reaching your eyes, for instance, how are you turning your head, how do you, nobody is there to coach you, for that. And nobody is talking to you maybe about, hey, what would look great about what do you wear, how about your backdrop that you have, what goes well with you, the colors. And and then the filters that are put on there. This is often not even looking at the person anymore that they are, And so I'm thinking always, if you want to have a portrait of yourself, then why not show who you are instead of having it all that tons of filters on it and really not, you know, and then somebody sees you and it's like, is that really her or him?
Yes, it's very hard to build trust with
Yes.
your audience if you're not putting your real face forward, and having someone like you really assist in that space can make it so much easier, right? How did
Yes, I think it's a challenge, when you sometimes meet someone and you saw them first on LinkedIn and it is actually not who you're expecting to see.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. All right. So, Krista, what would you say to those nice people out there that have a picture that's 20 years old on their LinkedIn profile?
So, so well, it's great how we looked 20 years ago or 10 years ago, right? But I am someone who is very proud of who we are, who are we becoming, like I said earlier, who are we, right? And so I think that as a professional, you really should, every year, you should have it on your calendar. Get a new headshot every year, because that way you have every year an updated headshot. You keep it fresh. Do you need branding for your website? Because do you not just need a headshot? Do you need to know for people to see who are you? What are you doing now? Right. And update it yearly. So that way it's always fresh content. I think that's really important.
Wow, I've never heard anyone give that advice before. Get it done every year. And I was thinking back to when we were in grade school. We would have a photo every year, right? To see how we had grown each year. I think that's a fantastic idea. Can we just talk a little bit? I'm not talking about dollars and cents, but the investment in having good headshots and marketing for your business. Can you talk a little bit about how important that investment is?
I think that as a business, you look into marketing, right? What do I put out there? Do I pay my Google ad? What do I, what kind of advertising that I do? And you are putting the money in there because you know it's important. You have to get your name out, right? But isn't it the same important to also get out how you're looking, so people realize who you are. They feel comfortable when they're meeting you. They feel like they're already knowing you a little bit when they're looking at this headshot. And that is why, or your branding image on your website, that is why this investment is very important, not just putting the advertising out and putting the money aside for that, but also investing in your profile. Profile is the wrong word probably, but in your who you are, so people get to know you.
Yeah,
Not
your personal brand, right? Your personal brand. Absolutely so important. Whether you're a leader for another company or you're the owner of your business, that
Yeah,
personal branding is so important.
absolutely.
Okay. So, if you could photograph any person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
So it is not somebody famous that I am thinking of, because there's a lot of famous people that are very interesting, right? And that have a lot of images out there. I would love to be able to go back and photograph my grandparents, because when I hear people saying, "Oh, I don't want to be photographed," then I think about how it is for me. I have no images of them, or the ones that I have are so awful I can barely see them. And I would love to go back and just show their life experience and show what they were about. So it is for my memory, for my personal thing, and for the family, for my brothers and my sister, so we can look back and see and see more about them. And we don't have that. And I think that's sad. So,
Oh,
if I could, I would go back and say, yes, that is absolutely what I want to do.
I love that. And each picture, portrait, photo tells a story. How important is that storytelling through the work that you do?
It's for me, it's very important to tell that story, because we are so different from each other. And we should show to people who we are. Who are
Mhm.
we? And not well, yes, we can always pretend, right? But I always like to tell the real story about someone, and because it comes across to people, instead of the filtered images, that show nothing. The real images that really come across to people and say, wow, I want to get to know this person.
Mhm. I love that. So, as we get to the back end of our conversation today, Krista, I'm going to drop a fun question on you. Can you tell us a story or a time of someone that you've worked with that was really enjoyable for you being behind the camera?
You know, I I have just recently um did a photo shoot for a very interesting company here in Richmond. They are veteran owned as well, disability veteran owned, right? And it's a very and I learned about this company so much because I wanted to. It was a photo shoot that the images went into Forbes and in Fortune magazine. And so I wanted to show the business owner, right? And he said, no, this is not what it is about. My company is not about me. My company is about the people that work for me. So my company is all about them. And I loved that photo shoot because it was such a inspiring time to work with them and to see how they are, how they're working together, how they really like each other. It's just, I love that photo shoot. I loved it very much. I love the people that I met there. I loved the commitment that he had to his people. I also loved the nonprofit organization that they started. And it's just everything was inspiring about them. So that's just what hit me right off the top.
I love that. So lots of headshots, lots of business people. You do personal photo shoots as well. You kind of have it all, everything all encompassing, right? How do you find your clients? How do they find you normally?
So I network a lot, I'm out there a lot, shaking hands, meeting people at networking events, and so people get to know me. And then, yeah, certainly I, make the connection by phone afterwards, and hopefully also by people referring me then, saying, I had that photo shoot with her, I loved it, maybe you should get in touch with her. So that is what I do mainly.
Awesome. I'm so excited that you came on the show with me today, Krista.
Thank you.
I
Thanks.
know you got, yeah, I'm glad that you had fun. So, if you guys are looking for Krista, she and I are connected on LinkedIn. So, if you and I are already connected, then you can find her that way. You can find her on LinkedIn at Krista Rollock 99267B5. And her first name is spelled Christa. You can also find her on Facebook at C Rollock Photography. And her website, so you can go see some of her beautiful work, is crollockphotography.com. Krista, thanks again for being with me today. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Glad you had fun today. And that's all the time we have for today's show. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Houston Business Radio. Until then, stay tuned, stay inspired, and keep thriving in the Houston business community.